Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be trying to use our Ninja Slushi to make slushies with no sugar. That's something that Ninja says you can't do, but we're going to try some different methods to debunk that right now. So you ready? Let's get into this. This is a Ninja Slushi. Now the main problem with making a slushie that's sugar-free is that actual sugar crystallizes differently than artificial sweeteners do. So if you're using regular sugar, it tends to keep the mix from freezing solid, at least to the point that when you put it into a slushie machine and you're constantly churning the mix, it will stay, well, pretty slushy. When you take the sugar out of the mix and you put in a substitute, those things don't tend to work very well that way, and you end up having the water content freeze solid. And when that starts to happen, the machine will just shut down, or you'll just get big old pieces of ice in here and it's just a big mess. So for instance, using regular Coca-Cola to make a Coke slushie, no problem. Using Diet Coke to make a Coke slushie, problem. What we're doing today is seeing what we can do to get around all of that stuff. If you'd like to make this recipe, all the ingredients and measurements are down in the description of the video, along with the calorie count, the protein, the carbs, and the fat. So what we're going to use is some xanthan gum as a thickening agent and see if that fixes this mix. In addition, we're going to give it a little bit of extra sweetness with allulose sweetener. The great thing about allulose is that this crystallizes the same way that sugar does. So anything sweetened with allulose will slush just like regular sugar. However, we got to be careful about how much of this we're putting in here, because this stuff is already sweet and we don't want to sweeten it up too much further. So the first thing we might as well try to do is the Coke Zero Slushies. This xanthan gum goes a really long way, so you don't want to use very much of it. In fact, I'm just going to use about a half a teaspoon in here. So I'm going to put that right into here, we're going to mix it up before we put it in. And then with the allulose, we have to be careful about how much we use, because if we put too much of this in here, it's going to make this mix really sweet. The good thing is that Coke slushies tend to be a little bit on the sweet side anyway, so we're not looking too bad. But I'm going to be putting 2 tablespoons in here per can of Coke Zero that I'm using. Next, I'll add just a little bit of water in here, so we can mix this up and turn it into a little bit of a slurry. That way it's going to be easier to get this into the machine. This is actually probably better with a whisk. So we're going to set our machine to slush. I'll probably bring the freeze temperature up 1. And I'm going to pour my first can of Coke right in here. That way it'll be just that little bit easier to get it to go down the drain here. And then we'll just pour in our other can of Coke Zero. And now all we gotta do is wait. Alright, looks like we have Coke Zero Slush. Very cool. You can see it's coming out pretty thick. I could have lowered the freeze level a little bit and it would come out a little bit more smooth, but I kind of like it, this texture, so I'm leaving it. Also, you could probably get away with not using the gum in there as well. But in the case of the Coke, it's very thin liquid, so I wanted to put that in there to give it a little bit of extra thickness. And I'll tell you what, this texture is really nice. If you're looking really close here, you can see all the microscopic air bubbles in here, just like you would normally see in a slushie, all around there. The main thing though is the taste, right? Oh, and that's good. It's very good. However, it might be a tiny bit on the flat side. When you're talking about a Coke slushie, don't expect it to feel really carbonated, because just the fact that it's twirling it around in here for so long is going to take a lot of that out. In fact, you could probably get away with using a little bit more allulose on this if you want to get a little bit sweeter flavor. But for me, that's pretty good. If we're taking a closer look at this, you can really see that it's nice and consistent. If I'm pushing this away like this, you're not seeing any pools of Coke forming or anything. This is holding its shape really well. The gum might be contributing to that. I don't know, but you're welcome to try doing this without the gum. It'll still work just using the allulose. It's just that the texture will be a tiny bit different. There's your Coke Zero Slushie with no sugar. On to the next one. Alright, next we're going to do something that comparatively is going to be easy. We're going to do some sugar-free frozen lemonade. Okay, so first, we're going to throw in some lemon juice. Just like that. Then we're going to take a larger container here, throw in 1 cup of allulose, and I'm going to add in 24 ounces of water here. You don't have to worry about remembering these measurements. They're going to be down in the description of the video for you anyway. I'm going to pour that into the slushie. Ooh, that didn't mix very well. No problem. Just take a tiny bit more water, slush that around in there, and then just pour it through. No problem. And for this, we're still going to use the same slush function. We're not going to use frozen juice because technically we're not really doing frozen juice. This is mostly water. So once again, we'll wait and we'll see how this turns out. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Okay, there's our frozen lemonade. You can see that I did crank up the freeze level. It started at 3, but when that got done, it was just way too under frozen. So I cranked it up 2 levels up here to 5, and this is what we got here as a result. Let's go ahead and pour this out so you can see. A little bit different than the other one. I could have frozen this a little bit more if I wanted to, but I wanted to show you what some different textures look like on this. Because I know some people like things a lot more frozen like I do, and some people like them a lot more slushy like this. And you can see that that looks really, really great. There's a lot more separation in this, but it's like that on purpose on this one because I did want to show that you can get away with different textures in this machine. The flavor on this is spot on too. Delicious. Tell me down in the comments what kind of texture you like on your slushies. This seems to be the way most people like them to come out. So it looks like frozen sugarless lemonade, no problem. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, next we're going to move on to frozen juice. This isn't going to be totally sugarless, but we're going to use some of this Trop 50. There's a lot of light orange juices on the market like this, and if you look at the nutritional facts, for an 8-ounce glass, this has only got 50 calories in it, and it's only got 10 grams of sugar, which is pretty darn good considering that this is orange juice. As a result, these aren't quite as sweet either, so we can sweeten it up with the allulose, and we'll also be able to make it slush properly too. Because without that, the sugar content on it isn't quite high enough. So this one is really going to be pretty easy to do. Make sure we shake that up really good first. And I'm just going to put 32 ounces of this in here. And I'm going to sweeten this up with a half a cup of allulose. Give it a mix with our whisk. And we can pour that into our machine. We can close that up. And we're going to select frozen juice. The frozen juice setting puts that freeze level all the way down here at the bottom, but we're going to see what that does and adjust it accordingly. Alright, our frozen orange juice is ready. Again, I had to crank up the freeze level. It started off at level 1. I cranked it up to level 4 for us to get this consistency right here. Let's go ahead and check this out. And this one pours pretty good. Okay, the frozen orange juice, check it out. Looks really good. If you've seen any of my other videos on the Ninja Slushi, they all kind of look like that. Nice and aerated. And as far as the flavor goes, oh yeah, that's good. You can see that consistency there. Looking good. Okay, again, if you want to be really technical, the orange juice slushie isn't completely sugar-free because it's still orange juice. There's a little bit of sugar in there. But it's a heck of a lot lower sugar than really anything else you're going to get. Not really too bad. This probably has about 10-11 grams of sugar in it total right here. If this were a glass of Coke or something, it would probably be closer to 50 grams, just to give you a little bit of perspective. You can see that's holding its shape pretty good too. Maybe not so much at the bottom there, but pretty good. Not complaining. Anyway, we got one slushie left to make. For our last slushie, I saw this actually walking out of the grocery store, which is this Welch's Zero Sugar Passion Fruit drink. And looking at this, it's only 5 calories per 8 ounces, so there's no added sugar into this at all, so probably they're using stevia or something like that to sweeten this. In any case, this would be a good candidate for the allulose also. And again, this should be a pretty easy one as well. So we're gonna go with that same 32 ounces of juice, or whatever the heck this is. And since we don't have any sugar content in this at all, we're gonna use a full cup of the allulose. Don't worry, I already tried this juice and it's not really all that sweet at all. So it does have quite a bit of room for us to sweeten it up. Good thing too, because we might not be able to do this otherwise. Okay, so pour that in. And what should we use here? It's not really juice because it's only 1% juice. So I'm just gonna say slushy. Level 3 hasn't worked very good for us on a lot of stuff, so I'm just gonna go ahead and crank this to level 5 anyway, just to be proactive, and we'll see how this turns out. Hey, Joe's Phenomenal now has channel memberships. For most people, you can see a join button down below the video window that you can click and see what type of perks I'm offering. Okay, and our last slushie appears to be ready. Let's try this out. Ooh, that's pretty thick. There we go. This might actually be pretty good. The juice was pretty tasty, actually. You didn't see that. Okay. Well, that looks really great. Again, same as all the other ones with the texture. And let's see how sweet this came out, because I was a little bit concerned about that. Oh, that might be the best tasting one of all. Whoa. Yeah, this passion fruit juice is no joke, and that was only 5 calories per 8 ounces, I think it was. So that means that's what that is right there. 5 calories. And it depends on what you think about allulose, but you know, I don't have any problem with it at all. We're looking at that, just like the other ones, nothing's pulling up. Really the only one that we had pull up at all was the frozen lemonade, I think it was. And that one we kind of underfroze on purpose just to show you some different texture. So if you didn't buy Ninja Slushi because you were concerned about the use of sugar, it looks like you got some options, doesn't it? Finally, we figured out a simple way to make sugarless slushies in the Ninja Slushi. That was a major sticking point for a lot of people that were thinking about buying this machine. If you want to try to come up with recipes other than what I covered in this video, then I encourage you to try that and let me know what you did down in the comments. I can't wait to see what you came up with. If you'd like a little bit more information about the Ninja Slushi, I do have an Amazon affiliate link to it down in the description of the video. If you buy anything through those links, I do make a small commission, but it doesn't change the price that you pay 1 cent. If you like this video, I bet you'll like this video right here where I did a full review of the Ninja Slushi. If you're on the fence about buying one, it's a good video to see to find out if it's worth spending your hard-earned money on. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon, and until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.